Hello, if you were just now tuning in and you no longer see the live square up in the corner, I am no longer live. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone? Hello. I'm just going to give some people a couple of minutes to hop on so we can get started. Hello. So let me get myself pulled up here and so I can make sure I don't miss any questions. How is everybody? Super excited to get this going tonight. If you happen to hear any music in the background, I do not own the rights to this music. I have it turned down pretty low, so you might not hear it. I also have a fan right behind you, so if that is any kind of distraction or you guys hear any kind of sound, just let me know and I'll shut it off. But it gets pretty warm in here, so I usually keep that on most of the time. Hi, so first and foremost, I would love to thank Misty for allowing me to do this. I was super stoked when I was asked to do this, and so yeah, I'm like so excited. I have so much to show you guys. This is like a part 1. There will be a part 2 tomorrow. My name is Chastity Hawkins. Carrie, you tell your little girl I said hi. So I am new to this group and I was asked to do this live. I've had some other lives out there that have been extremely successful, and so when I was asked to do this, I was super stoked. So thank you so much, Misty. I do appreciate what you have done for myself as well as my sister group. New to cups and excited to find out how to do this. Yeah, so this is super fun. Oh, bless their heart. Ken, this is great. Like, you don't get discouraged. It will take a few times to get the hang of things. Really quick, what I tell people that's just getting started, go out to the Dollar Tree, find you some cheap coffee mugs, find some cheap stainless steel tumblers, type in some YouTube channels, and you know, like epoxy tumblers for you is a good one. There's epoxy method on tumblers for beginners. There's all kinds. Hi Joanne, hi Abby from South Carolina, whoop whoop. I hope you guys have good weather there right now. So just go out and find you some cheap stuff. Go to Walmart, Target, get a couple of cups, order some WaterSlide paper on Amazon. Get some glitter and some Mod Podge. Go to Hobby Lobby or Michael's or Joann's and get you some of the epoxy that they carry and just play. I mean, you're not going to mess it up to where it's just not fixable. Everything is fixable. You can always fix it. So, sorry. Okay, that's fine. What a nice hubby. I'm trying to figure out how to say your name because I don't want to butcher it. Is it Deandra? That's really pretty. Jenna from California, awesome. So we got about 40 people, and I don't want to keep you guys that's been waiting hanging too long. So I love to keep my lives exciting, not boring. So I like to interact with my audience. So if we could first and foremost give Misty, which is an admin on this group, some hearts and some wow faces, because she is great. She does a lot of work for you guys. I don't think you realize how much behind the scenes work it takes to run a group, especially a group this big. So please give Jeannie some wow faces and some hearts. She's amazing. Or I'm sorry, not Jeannie, Misty. I read some your mom spelled it wrong. Sorry. Gina. Oh, I see now. Sorry. Okay, Gina. Got it. So yeah, Misty is great. So thank you again, Misty, if you're on here. I do appreciate that. So if some of you guys have worked with water slides, before I get started on the cups, for a lot of the beginners, I want to show you guys a couple of options that you have. So these are just some cheap ceramic tiles. My husband actually owns a flooring company, and I have cases and cases of these. You can go to like Lowe's, Menards, Hobby Lobby, Home Depot, just some kind of store around you. A lot of times if you hop on your marketplace, you'll see people that have like leftover tiles like from when they redone their bathroom or their kitchen or something. They'll have a couple of cases or maybe just a stack of tiles that they get rid of, because they know a lot of people like us that are DIYers and crafters, and so we can always use these. I love using these for coasters. I sell these. I don't sell them as much as I used to, just because I haven't been promoting them as much as I used to. What kind of paper is WaterSlide? Like, is there a cheap version? No, honey, it's WaterSlide paper. So I'll show you guys that in just 1 second. It's pretty cheap. You can get a 10-pack or a 20-pack on Amazon. And you can put multiple image on the WaterSlide paper, and for one sheet of paper it's like $1, because it's about $20 for about 20 sheets. So these are super fun. So if you've never done water slides before, or if you have never done cups before, this is a really good way to get started. So go buy you a couple of these. I mean, they're less than $1 at your supply stores. Like I said, Lowe's, Home Depot, and Menards. So I'm going to grab a couple of those. I have them on my rack, and I'll show you guys that as well. If you start getting into water slides, I use their files that you can stack on top of each other. You can get them from the dollar store, you can get them from Walmart, and I'll show you that in just 1 second. And I just slide my water slide papers in there and I let them dry after I seal them. So this right here behind me is the steps that you take to seal your water slides if you're doing a full page water slide. If you're just doing one image, like a 3x3 or something like that, you only need to use this one. Okay, if you're doing a bigger image, then I like to seal all three, and there's lots of reasons why. It's very important to do 3 light coats of each one of these before you get started. It only takes a couple of minutes for it to dry in between the coats. This is my group, Water Slides for You and Tutorials 2. This is my sister group, my sponsor group, which is It Takes 2 Creators. Joanne and her sisters are a team that work with me very, very much. They are amazing. Joanne, any ideas that I throw at her, she is on point. She's great. So yeah, super important. There is some other companies out there that do sell water slide paper. You just have to find what's best for you. I've tried a lot of different kinds, and I have my favorite, and I am no way, shape, or form being paid to say this at all. Hayes Company is my favorite water slide paper. So I do have a supplier from them, but I do not get any sort of percentage when I promote them. So let me grab the water slides so we can get started, you guys, and I will show you the racks that I use. So these are the files that I have on my shelf over there. Just some cheap file. You can stack them on top of each other just like that, and I slide my water slides right in there and let them dry. I have a little bitty fan on them, and that's how I do that. So I have four ones that I just print that are not sealed, and I have 4 that are sealed. So it is important to understand, if you print your images on an inkjet printer, that if you seal them, it's best to use them within 24 to 48 hours. You could stretch it 48 hours, but it's really important to make sure you try to use them within 24 hours. You can print them off and let them sit for a couple of weeks, whatever, but after you seal them, it's important to make sure you use those within 24 hours, okay? So I just printed off these cute little sunflowers. These are from Joanne. I called her up today and said, hey, I want to have some cute little images just to print off. Thank you guys for the hearts. And so I can show some testers and some samples and some beginner stages of how to work with water slides. So that's why I got those. So don't get confused. We are doing the storyboard cup, but I know there's a lot of people in this group that have not messed with water slides before, or have not even done tumblers before. So I wanted to show you guys this option. So this is printed on a clear water slide. There's 2 different kinds of water slides that you can get. It's a white water slide and a clear water slide, and as I said before, you can get those off of Amazon. They come in a 20 pack, mostly a 20 pack. I have seen them come in 10 packs, but not very often, and they're roughly about $1 a sheet, so you're gonna pay about 20 bucks. Hayes Company is a little more expensive. The others are great. I never had any issues with them, but my personal favorite is Hayes. I just like the feel of the paper. I like the control that I have. I like the quality that it shows, but they're all great. So just get whatever you feel comfortable with getting. I do recommend, if you're going to buy a water slide paper, just go ahead and get both. Get white and clear. Clear you're gonna use on backgrounds that are light colored, like a really light soft pink, or a really soft creamy color, white, any light colors, you will use clear water slide. If they're dark colors, you're definitely going to want to use white water slide. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is have a bowl ready, and your bowl, just make sure that it's big enough for your water slide to fit down in. You're gonna fill this up with water, and I'm gonna point you guys down in just 1 second. So after you print off your image, or if you order your image, and you get it in the mail and you're ready to go, you're gonna use some warm water, not hot, not cold. It has to be warm, a little warmer than room temperature water. And that's important for a few reasons. It releases better from the backing, and it also lasts a little bit longer. I feel like when I use cold water, my paper gets hard, if that makes sense, because this is kind of like tattoo paper. You remember, you know, being kids, and if you have kids of your own, you can get these out of the bubblegum machines, and you put it on their hand or wherever, and put the wet washcloth or sponge over it, and you let it sit for a few minutes, and then it comes off and it stays on the hand. Well, this is basically the same thing, exactly the same thing. So it's super thin. So I'm going to go ahead and point you guys. Sorry, my husband just called, and I don't know why, because I told him I was going live. So I apologize. Okay, there we go. I'm going to let my computer catch up with this so I can make sure you guys are in frame, and get my paper out. I mean my water, excuse me. So I leave my water on a coffee mug warmer, and sometimes it gets a little too hot, so I always have a cold bottle of water. This is not bottled water. This is just an empty bottle that I put tap water in, just so I can have them available. So I'm gonna pour this in here just like that. You're gonna get a couple sheets of paper towel or coffee filters. I really like coffee filters, and I'm actually out of them. So I'm gonna use paper towels. I like coffee filters because it doesn't leave, you know, the little fuzzies behind. But you guys, this is just, you know, this is a game changer for a lot of crafters. Super, super easy. You can put vinyl over top of these images if you want to put someone's name on them. If you want to add just, you know, he keeps calling. Can you guys, I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. Guys, I apologize. I told my son to call my husband and tell him to stop calling me. I am so sorry. I did tell him right before he left that I was going live at 8 o'clock. So leave it to the hubbies. Okay, so as I was saying, whatever surface you're putting this on, whether it's a tile or a coffee mug or your tumbler, make sure it's wet. So what I like to do is I'll take some paper towel, and I get it damp, and I just lay it on my surface and just leave that there for just a second. And then let's do this little one right here. My husband or my son's whispering to me. So you're just gonna stick this in there and it'll curl up, and you'll actually even hear it sizzle a little bit, and that's perfectly normal. So you're just going to leave this on here for just a second. And I put these lines in the background for a reason, so I could show you guys something so just 1 second. So once it starts releasing from the back, you'll see it slide off. Okay, and this is again a clear water slide. So I'm going to move this water out of the way, and now we have our tile. Are you guys seeing this okay? And you'll just lay it right there on top of your whatever you're putting it on. And remember, you guys, this is just an example for everyone that has never done a water slide before. For someone that's never done any type of tumblers before, this is just a really good way to kind of get the feel for how water slides work, the different options you can do. Like I said before, just go grab a couple of cheap tiles. A lot of people already have some. You can get them off of your marketplace on Facebook. And then what I do is I love, and I'm sure you guys are really familiar with these are the Mod Podge brushes. This has never been used for Mod Podge, but the bristles on these are so soft. So you're gonna take your brush, or a lot of people use these. I've seen people use these. These are okay. This is just my favorite. So you'll just have to find what's best for you. And you're just gonna rub on top of your image to get all of the water and the air out from underneath. Just like so. And then you take a paper towel, a dry paper towel, and very gently you just dab all of the water away. Just like that. And that's a water slide. So I left these these lines on the background for you, so you can see. This is the end where I cut it off. This is all clear around. So when you epoxy over this clear line, you're not gonna see that at all. It just disappears in your epoxy, and it's gone. So you can use these images in your Cricut and cut them out. Some of them are very intricate, and it takes a few times. Sometimes it's really hard for the Cricut to pick up the image and cut it out exact. So what I suggest is just cutting it by hand. That's my personal favorite, but you are more than welcome to use your Cricut to cut these. They will cut them out. So you can, I like it when on white WaterSlide, you will have a white background and it leaves probably about a 1/16 of an inch white image or white color around your image. So that's perfectly fine. A lot of times I will take my image and I will cut it into like a circle or a box around my image with, excuse me, round off the corners. And by rounding off the corners, it kind of looks like a framed picture. And you can decorate the outer edges. There's just so many options that you can do with this. Okay, so let's do one more really fast. We'll do a bigger one. So again, we're gonna take this, so it'll be wet on your surface. And you're gonna take your image of your WaterSlide and you're gonna slide it in the paper. It's gonna curl up, just kind of straighten it back out a little bit and let it sit in the water for a couple of seconds. And when it starts releasing, that's whenever you're gonna know that your WaterSlide is ready. Okay? A couple more minutes or seconds and it'll be done. So again, this is just a really good way for you guys to play around with WaterSlides on these tiles. You can do it even on a coffee cup. And actually, let's do it on a coffee cup. So I have this coffee cup right here. It's got a lot of my little pieces of vinyl in it. So let me take these out. And that sounds like some change. Okay, so let's do it on here so you guys can really see how it just lays around this coffee mug. Now, some of these you can bake into your image. There we go. So you just lay it on there just like that. Pull the white away from it, the backing. And you're gonna take your brush. I always get my brush a little bit wet just to let it slide a lot easier. And there you go. Okay. And like I said, if you have these brushes, you can use these as well. They're fine to use. You can use a regular paintbrush. You can even just use your paper towel, wet paper towel. It's better to not use your fingers. Of course you can. You can rub this and get all of the all of the bubbles out. But if you use a wet paper towel, you have better control over where you're kind of pushing down, because this weighs, you know, there's some weight to this because it's got water in it. So therefore, that's all you need. You don't need to push any harder than that. But this stays wet. It's harder to keep your fingers wet, and you might, you know, hit an area where there's no water, and then, so I'm going to show you guys this really quick. So say you messed up and you're like, oh, I don't like this, I'm going to redo it. All you have to do is literally just peel it right back up. You can put it back in the water, stick it right back down, start all over. So this is a really good way to learn how to work with WaterSlides, because you're not gonna mess them up. I see so many people that tell me all the time, I am so scared, I'm gonna mess it up, I don't know what I'm doing. That's okay. It's okay. Just go ahead and try it, and if you don't like it, even after it dries, if you don't like it, just get it wet and it'll peel right off again. So it's super, super simple. Now after this sits for a few minutes, you might notice a couple of little air pockets that get underneath there, or maybe some water pockets that get underneath the WaterSlide, and that's okay too. Take your little X-Acto knife. I have a little Cricut X-Acto knife somewhere. You can just take the point of even a straight pin, and wherever that little pocket is, you would just kind of pierce it right on top, and then just take this and push it down, and it's gone. If I see any of those pockets come up, I'll show you guys. I don't have any right now, but sometimes even though it looks like there's not any, in a couple of minutes after it starts drying, one will pop up. Let's check out the other one really fast. Nope. So these are so simple, you guys. So simple. So don't be scared of them. I'm going to lift you guys back up. Yay. So how was that? Is that intimidating? So mine actually is with a inkjet printer. I have a LaserJet that only does black. So if I have a clear WaterSlide with black lettering or black, just black alone, I would do my laser. But I use epoxy with inkjet. Yes, you're exactly right. And there's two different kinds. Let me show you guys the paper really fast before we move on to the next step. Move my stuff all the way. Okay, so there is lots and lots of different kind of paper you can use. The two main ones that I see the most is this one is the main one that I see a lot. Okay, so it starts with an R. I'm not even gonna butcher it, but you'll see this is the image that you'll find on Amazon. So, and up here it says transparent, and then there's also white. Okay, so that is one, and that's about $17, $18. This one is Hayes Paper Company, and as I was saying before, this is one of my favorite ones. This one is white. And this one, oh, that one's white too. And this is transparent, so clear. So these are the main ones. There's a couple of other brands out there that I have used, and I just always refer back to Hayes Company. But you can, whatever you're comfortable with, whatever your pocketbook allows, whatever your preference is, you might try one and have a lot of problems with it. You know, don't get discouraged. Just try a different one. But you're going to get, pretty much, you're going to get the same results. So if you order a WaterSlide from It Takes Two, or maybe you have a friend that does something like this, they will use a professional printer to print these, so they'll come in the mail ready to go. Hi, Tiggy. So, and that's honestly the easiest and fastest way to do it, even though you have to wait for a couple days. But remember, you've got to get your cup prepped, you've got to get it ready, and by the time your WaterSlide gets there, bam, stick it on there, put your last coat of epoxy on it, and you're done. So super simple. For me, because they sponsor me, I just print them off at home using my inkjet, and you can do that as well too. But if I have a big project coming up or something big like tonight, she would send me, you know, whatever I needed in the mail. Okay, so before we move on to the cups, does anyone have any questions? Can I see some wow faces if you're excited? And I'll move all my junk out of the way, and we'll move on to the cup. These are great gifts, awesome gifts, super simple, super fast, very customizable, and they don't cost a ton, and they look great. Okay, guys, so the best paper that I have found is Hayes Company. You can get it on their website, or you can buy it from Amazon. There is other kinds. I've never had any specific issues with any of the other kinds before. I just always refer back to that. I don't know why. I like the quality is maybe a tiny bit better. I like the feel of the paper. I don't know, that's just kind of my personal preference. I'm not getting paid to say this, but that's just, I don't know. I just always referred back to Hays. So I have others that are just still in the packages, and I just like Hays. So if I was to run out of Hays, I would have no problem with moving on to one of the other brands that I have. So, and then right back here, since there's some newbies back on here, I wanted to point this out, is the steps. So if you see anybody ask that question and I don't see them, or one of the admins don't see them ask this question and they want to know what to seal the water slides with, right here you go. I'll actually lift you guys up a little bit. There you go. So very light coats, and I printed these off in reverse so you guys could read them. You're going to use Rust-Oleum triple thick first, 3 light coats, Plasti Dip, 3 light coats, and then the 2-time Rust-Oleum clear coat, 3 light coats. Yes, Joanne, they're super fun, super easy to use, and the options are just endless. Epoxy brand, so I have not used a whole lot of epoxies. I've used Aluminite. I liked it, didn't have any problems with it, but I switched to more of a professional brand for the types of things that we do. So currently I'm using Pro Marine. I've used FX. I like FX and I like Pro Marine equally. I will say that Pro Marine does not necessarily smell, but to me, I don't smell it. But I've heard other people complain about the smell of it. I don't smell it. I don't know if I'm just used to it or what. Every once in a while, if I hit the epoxy with a heat gun, it'll have like a chemical smell, but it doesn't last. It just goes away, and which is another reason why I have my fan in my window. But I really like Pro Marine, and I know that people are against chemicals, and so am I. But if you're very careful and you make sure and wear gloves, you're safe with it, and I really like it. So, but I can't really refer to any best kind of epoxy because I've not used a whole lot of different brands. Okay, so we are going to move on to the exciting part, which is our storyboard tumbler. So here's the storyboard tumbler. If you order this, I don't know if I'm supposed to show where to get it from. Sorry, Misty, I wasn't thinking. This is a storyboard tumbler that is going to come in a package. You'll pull it out just like this. There's a couple of steps that you have to take before you get ready to do this. So I remove the lid and I stick it right back in the box. This is 20 ounce, and this is how it comes. I don't have one that's finished because I've already gotten rid of the ones that I've finished, but on the invitation to this particular live is in the comments. Misty had posted a comment. It's a short little video of exactly what this is. So it's basically like a snow globe. You can shake it up and put glitter inside of it and also drink. Oh, okay. Sorry. I was like, oh gosh, I don't know. So this is from Hog. Irene, she is amazing. She has a lot of great cups. So when you have a chance to jump on her site, go ahead and check it out. I have purchased about, oh gosh, quite a few of these. They're very hard to get. I believe she has some in stock now, so every time I get a notification that they're back in stock, I always go buy more. I missed the second product to use for sealing. Okay, right here, honey, there's Plasti Dip Glossifier. And then the third one is the Clear Coat 2-time. No problem, Kimmy, or Kim. I will, so if you need to know that again, it's right back there. Just tell me to move my big old head. So once you get this in the package, you'll pull it out. Like I said, put your lid back in there, and this is going to be your next step. So here is the bottom. This is a little confusing for people. So it has the silver on the back. The front is black. You have got to separate these two, and I will show you how to do that. Mine are actually all separated. I think I glued this one back, maybe. Oh wait, maybe I can't show you. Maybe this one isn't done. But what you have to do is you have to separate these by using a really hot heat gun, can't talk, and get this super hot, because there's a little dot somewhere around here. I've seen them on the side, I've seen them in the middle, you know, halfway between the middle and the side, of glue that's holding this steel onto, or this metal onto the plastic. And you just have to get that hot enough to where you can pull this black thing out, because you're gonna need it. There's a little tiny breather hole inside this black piece, and that's how you're gonna fill up your cup. You're gonna fill it up all the way up to here, but then once you screw your bottom back on, you're still gonna have quite a bit of air in there that you've got to get your oil in, and so that's what you're gonna need to get this apart for. It's very important. So before we move on to breaking this apart, I'll show you the rest of the cup. So this is acrylic. That's what this is called, is an acrylic. It slides on and off in here. You're gonna get 3 sheets of plain white paper. I love this paper. It's very glossy. I don't know what kind of paper it is, but you're not gonna need this for this, but I keep these. I actually made my Tim Holtz ink chart. All these little swatches come from this. Not the white paper, but just the little swatches. They're really, really good for alcohol inks. So keep those, because I know you crafters can use them somewhere around. So once you remove, I just usually set my paper to the side. I put my acrylic back inside my box with my lid, so I don't lose any of the parts. And if it's for an order, I just write their name on the inside of the box. So your acrylic slides down into this lip, which is the hard part for people to get these to seal. And like I said at the beginning, this is going to be a part 1 and a part 2. I will show you guys how to seal this tomorrow, okay? Because if I did it step by step and showed you guys the steps ahead of time, it's super, super confusing, and I've got overloaded with questions when I've done that before. The easiest way that I have found for people to understand is just literally taking it step by step. So just bear with me, you guys. This is for a good reason. Tomorrow we'll pick right back up. I won't do anything in between, and we will seal this. We're going to do the water slide tonight though, okay? Where can I send New Orleans image to It Takes Two? Joanne, do you see her comment? If you can let her know, but you are welcome to message her. My designer is Joanne Blade. That's her name. You can go right on It Takes Two and message her directly. If you're having a hard time, you can message me and I will get you guys connected. No problem at all. Okay. So I did a poll last night, and I had some images that Joanne had sent me, and I wanted to know what everyone wanted to see. And this was for tonight. That's the wrong one. And I had 2, there was a first place and a second place. So I'll let you guys choose, since this is your group. This is the first image. It's a beautiful, beautiful sunset. And this is the second image. So these will wrap around this entire cup, the whole thing. So 1 or 2. I'm blurry. Sorry, am I still blurry? I am still blurry. I wonder what happened. Let me move you guys over just a tad. Sometimes that helps. Okay, we got 1 for the sunset, 2 for the sunset, 3 for the sunset. I think it'll probably be the sunset. 4 for the sunset. I'm getting ready to be clear again. Bear with me for 1 second. Let me lift my phone back up. There you go. Sometimes that helps. Okay, everybody's voting sunset. So that's what we're doing tonight. Thank you guys for playing along. It's on and off blurry. I moved it over a little bit, so give it a couple of minutes and see if it straightens back out. I'm just watching my laptop so that way I can see myself. But there's like a few minutes or a couple of second delay. I'm still blurry, aren't I? I won't move for a second and sometimes it'll straighten itself back out. Sorry, you guys. Like, don't move. There. Okay. I try not to move really fast because I feel like that's what makes it go wonky. So if you see me like act like I'm in slow motion, that's why. Plus I like to pretend I'm in slow motion. Just kidding. Okay, so we're gonna break this apart really fast. The most important thing that you're going to need, and I get a ton of questions about this, you have to get this extremely hot. You're not going to be able to hold this with your bare hands. You have to use gloves. To break this apart. So I have my gloves and I'm gonna grab those, and then you're also going to want, and sometimes you guys, it does take a few minutes to get these apart. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy at all. So I'm not gonna mess with it for too long because I don't want anyone to get bored with watching me try to do this. But this is what it looks like. Okay, my husband, I thought he'd done all of them for me, but he must not. So let me see if I can get the light. There we go. See the light shining through that little hole? That's the breather hole I was talking about. Yeah, so that is what you're gonna want to get off. And then if you can see that little stringy piece of glue, it's almost like hot glue, honestly, because it peels right out. It's just getting it soft enough to break up to pull that black piece out. Because what the trigger is when you're holding this, you can't really put a whole lot of pressure to grab this really tight to pull this out, because if you do, then that keeps the force of you holding this on keeps you from sliding this out. I hope that makes sense. Can you show what you used for second product, please? Someone asked and I didn't see it. For second product. Are you talking about the spray, the sealer right here? You want to see like the actual can? Yes, for anyone that does not see Misty's comment, she has approved us to sell on this site. So I'm super, super grateful and thankful. So please read Misty's comment. She's the admin on this group. So I hope, yeah, so this is what you were talking about. Yep. Super easy. You can find this at Walmart, Menards, just about anywhere I have been able to find this. I will say that this triple thick, the Rust-Oleum triple thick, if you can help it, please do not order this off of Amazon. It's so expensive, and I don't know why, but it's ridiculously expensive. It's like 12 bucks. You can go to Home Depot or Menards. Those are the only two places that I've been able to find it. If you have someone, if you don't have one of those close to you, but you have a friend that could buy it and send it to you, that's way cheaper, because this is only like $3.50. So, yep, you're very, very welcome, ladies. So here's my husband's man gloves. So I'm going to stick these on. And I got my heat gun down here. Okay, so put your man gloves on, And I okay. So I'm just waiting for this to get hot. So you're gonna hold this on there. Now remember, you don't know where the glue is at exactly. So you're gonna have to move this around, move it around. Don't hold it in one spot because you'll get like a black, almost kind of like a burn mark on there, and it's not really that easy to get rid of it. So if you have some pliers, you can hold on to on this side with pliers and just keep heating it and heating it and heating it. But you've got, I mean, this is what a lot of people don't understand, is you have to get it extremely hot. And like I said, I'm not going to try to do this for a very long time because I don't want you guys to get bored with it. But sometimes it takes, you know, 10-20 minutes because you've got to heat it up and then try to pry it apart, and then heat it up again, try to pry it apart. Okay, let's see how hot that is. And I'll get my little girly pliers. And right on the back of this, you'll be careful because there's threads in there and you don't want to damage those threads. But where the thread begins, there's a little open area right there, and that's what I grab onto. And I also take my X-Acto knife. I was working on some cups before I got on live, and I think I left it in the other room. This isn't gonna do me any good. Just 1 second. So you'll take your X-Acto knife and you'll, I don't remember how to clean it up. And you'll just take it in between the black and the silver piece, and you'll scrape it. So be very, very careful and just keep moving that around and around, and make sure it's pushed all the way down inside there, because in case that glue's right there. So you want to kind of, like you're peeling an apple, just keep going around it and around it, and if you get stuck, keep doing it until you can go all the way around without getting stuck, if that makes sense. Okay? And then you'll take your pliers. And remember, you got, I know it's so hard to understand on a live, like I just want to watch somebody do this and say, no, this is how you do it. But you can't hold this part super tight. You can't put a lot of tension on this, or you're kind of defeating the purpose of pulling this out. There you go. You see that glue in there? So this one was probably already done at some point. I must have just got stuck back in there, because I was pretty sure my husband did all of these. That's still pretty hot, so I'm not gonna touch it. But that's how you do it, and if it doesn't come out the first time, just heat it back up and just keep repeating those same steps. So Amy said she got one off earlier today. I left it on the cup and then used a gripper for opening jars. That is an amazing idea. See, thinking outside the box. I would have never thought that. Good job, Amy. I'm gonna have to try that, my next batch of cups. Super, that's an awesome idea. I love that. Okay, so now once you get that apart, you're gonna move on to your cup. And Amy will know what I'm talking about. So all of mine are already filled up, but when you unscrew your bottom, you're gonna have this piece right here that has the threads on it, and there's gonna be a giant hole right here. And you have to fill that hole up with hot glue. and you're thinking, why would you use hot glue? It's stainless steel. It's not going to adhere to the steel. You're right, it doesn't. But if you fill this up as much as you possibly can, let the hot glue pile up on top of there, because as it dries, it's going to suck it into this thing, and you'll get like a little divot in there, a hole. Put some more hot glue in there. Just keep doing that until there's no holes at all in there. And what keeps the hot glue inside here is that you're filling it up so much that it's getting underneath this lip right here. So there's no way it's gonna come out. And then I just take my X-Acto knife every couple times I put hot glue on there, and after it dries, I just cut it off. If I see any holes or little divots, I'll put some more hot glue, let it dry, cut it off, and then you're left with this. Does that make sense, you guys? Can I see some happy faces? Some likes? Okay. Whoop, whoop. That is such a good idea, Amy. I'm super excited to try that. You said you heated it up? I lifted on the cup and then used a gripper. So you didn't even have to heat it up? Thank you guys for the likes. Boop, boop. Okay, so Karen, good question. I'm moving on to that question right now. So the reason you fill this up is because once you fill up your cup with oil to get the floaties, and you screw this back on, and you start showing everybody, and you start playing with it, eventually that oil is going to work its way into this gap, that hole, and then your oil ends up down here, and you're like, I know that was full. I know it was. Like, where did all my oil go? That's where it went. It went inside there. So the best way that I can explain it, and when we seal the bottom on, I'll show you guys, you have to seal all these little gaps too, because that oil will find a way to get out of that cup. And it's super, super important that you fill in every area of sealant in that the oil can hide in, because you want it to stay in here, not in here and not in there. Nope, she didn't even use a heat gun, you guys. There you go. So that might even be easier for you. If that doesn't work, you can try my method, but I would definitely give Amy's method a go, because that sounds that sounds safer for one. Okay, so let me move my stuff out of the way again. The next thing I'm gonna tell you guys is you're gonna have to prep your cup. If you're doing a full water slide, even if you're just gonna glitter it, however you're gonna do your cup, it's extremely important that you prep your cup. What I mean by that is sand it, wash it really, really good with Dawn dish soap, dry it with a lint-free cloth, and then prime it. Okay, and you can prime it with, I love 2-time Ultra Cover from Rust-Oleum. I also love, love, love the metal clean. It's called Clean Metal Primer, and I can show you guys that really quick. I love this stuff. I recently just found it and used it a couple of times, and it's amazing. This stuff is it's by Rust-Oleum, and it's called Clean Metal Primer. It's obviously white. I don't have it on this cup, but I have used it on some of my other cups, and it's so good. Like, it dries like that, and say I have a goof up and I have to wipe it off or something, maybe use a little bit of alcohol or acetone. I mean, if you keep rubbing it and rubbing it and rubbing it, it'll come off, but just to swipe it, it doesn't come off. Like, this stuff adheres to metal like nobody's business. So it's great, great stuff. And it's the same price as you would pay for the primer. It wasn't that much more, maybe a few cents, 20, 30 cents more. So prime your cup. When I use a full page water slide, it doesn't matter if I'm doing this kind of cup or a 22 fatty, a 20 ounce or a 30 ounce. I prime it, and if I can't find a semi-gloss or a gloss primer, I will prime it with my flat primer, and then I put a coat of gloss, clear gloss over it. And the reason I do that is because when you're putting your water slide on there, if this is flat, it doesn't move very much. So you can't really adjust your water slide very well. So I like it to be a very, very smooth surface. So when I put my water to sit on there and then I put my water slide on there, it helps me adjust my water slide. Okay. All right, so I bored you guys with all this stuff. Does anybody have any more questions before I move forward? Karen, did that answer your question? Okay, so moving on. So now you're gonna tape off your sides. So you're gonna tape off this lip right here is what we will refer this to. That's what your acrylic sets in. And I will show you guys how I do that very quickly. It's not very hard and it's super, super easy. Point you guys down for just 1 second so I can show you. Electrical tape will be your friend on tumbler cups. I've seen a few people on here said that they've never done tumbler cups before. Electrical tape is amazing. So what I do is I just lay my electrical tape right on the table and then I just wrap it around, pull it kind of snug, and I just turn my cup. And then use my scissors wherever they are. I'm gonna get these big old jumbo scissors out, but you don't have to use any of these big, obviously. And there you go. Then I take another piece of tape and I put it around the inside. This is not going to be perfect, you guys, just because I'm trying to hurry so you guys don't get bored. Wrap it around, wrap it around, wrap it around, and cut it. How about I try that again? This tape is amazing because it's stretchy, so it's very easy to maneuver. But once it sticks to itself, it's there for a second so you can get it apart. So then I just put some little slits in there so it'll kind of fold over pretty easy. You don't have to, I just find it easier. Okay. Make sure it's on there really, really good. And then, so now you have that. So now I take my X-Acto knife and I just take it right inside the lip and I hold it close to the outside of the lip, but on the inside of the little divot area, and I just move my cup around just like this. And you can do it on the table too. It's probably safer to do it on the table. Okay, and then you'll just pull it off, just like that. And that's a perfect tape off. Okay, and then I put my football inside here and I paint it. You can tape off your threaded piece right here. You don't necessarily have to, because it's not really gonna disrupt it, your lids, you know, screwing back on there. I mean, obviously make sure you don't get like a glob of paint around here, but for the most part you don't have to if you feel safer doing that, because you're not even gonna see any of this, so you don't really have to paint that at all. But you know, I didn't on this one. I didn't tape it off. There's no globs. It's perfectly smooth inside those threads, so I have no problem whatsoever with this screwing back on there. And before you move on, just make sure that it screws on perfectly fine. Okay? Any questions? Gabby, you're exactly right. 3 coats of triple thick, 3 plasti dip, and 3 clear. I'm gonna lift you guys up. Woo! Right here. 3, 3, and 3. It's super important to stress to you guys to make sure you understand it's light, light, light coats. And there is a reason behind all of that. When I first started doing the full page water slides, I was determined to get it to stretch around a 32-ounce cup, and there was like a 1/2 inch gap, and I knew I could get it to stretch. I was determined to do that. So I tried I mean, if you guys see my cabinet, there are so many products in there that I tried. This was the cheapest, easiest way to get it to stretch around that 32-ounce cup. Then I started using it for all my other images because I had better control over my images. I didn't have to be so feather light with them. You still have to be super careful, but yes, you still have to, you don't have to use the plasti dip and the 2-type clear. You could just do 3 of these. If it's like a small image like this, just 3 coats of this, the triple thick Rust-Oleum. I did not have any good results whatsoever, and if you use the triple thick Krylon and you love it, I will, you know, bow down to you, because I cannot get that stuff to work for me. I just can't. I've tried and tried and tried. I've tried it for many other things as well, and it just hates me. So, Gabby paid attention last night. You get an A for the day and a star for the week. If you're ordering yours from It Takes Two, you don't have to seal it. It comes in the mail ready to go. Misty, the admin on this group, was explaining earlier that she had done that. She got in the mail and it was ready to go. So you don't even have to worry about it. Now, if it was a big full page image and you got it in the mail from her, you would have to do the plasti dip and 2-time, I believe. I think Joanne sometimes does those steps for you, but I'm not 100% sure what exactly she decided to do for that. So you could just ask her, if you're doing a full page water slide, exactly what you need to do. So let's move on, because I know she's done it both ways, and it might just be the customer's preference. So Joanne, I need to talk to you about that so I can make sure I'm on the same page as you. All right, you guys, are you excited? We're gonna move forward. Let's go. So I got all the votes in for this image right here. And like I said earlier, it's really important to use warm water, not hot, not cold, a little warmer than room temperature. So in order for me to do that, I have to go get my water. I hate leaving you guys hanging, but write this stuff down. This is my group, Water Slides for You and Tutorials 2. This is the sister group, It Takes Two Creators. So I'll let you guys stare at that for just a few minutes, and I'm gonna go get our water, and we are gonna get rocking and rolling on this so I can show you guys that. I'll be right back. And think of some questions. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate. morning, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. The cup that I'm using is called Storyboard. You can buy them from Hog, and they look like this. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find them. She doesn't always have them in stock. So sign up for her notifications, and as soon as she gets them in stock, she will notify you. Every time I get a notification, I get on there and buy some. Okay. So I keep this old pan in here. It's one from our RV. I just keep it in here now and just use it just for my water slides. Just wipe it out, make sure there's not a whole lot of like little dusty particles in there. And lots of towels, because it is messy. It's extremely, extremely messy. Okay. This is so fun, you guys. If you have not tried them, please do. You will not be disappointed, I promise. And I put these up here because I seriously want you guys to join these groups, because if you have any questions, ask. That's what it's there for. That's why I wanted to open that WaterSlides group, because I was just, after I'd done my very first live for WaterSlides, it was stretching it around a 32-ounce cup. I had over 10,000 views in like 2 days, I think it was, and I just got overloaded with questions. I couldn't keep up with all the questions. And so the easiest way for me to do that moving forward was, so I deleted some of my videos and wanted to kind of start fresh so I could get, it wasn't because I didn't want anyone to see them, it was because there was just so much going on and it just took off so fast that I wanted everyone to be successful and not get discouraged. So Joanne had reached out to me and we had talked, and she wanted me to start doing tutorials and letting her design the water slides that she does. She already started doing that, and she's amazing at it, and I loved what she was doing. And so I was very honored that she reached out to me, and so we started working together, and I wanted to open up a group just for people to come in. It doesn't necessarily have to be just about water slides, but I wanted people to have an opportunity and somewhere to go where they could just ask any question. No question is a dumb question. And sometimes we can't even get on there to answer questions, and some of the girls in the group, they know, and they'll be able to help you as well. So please don't hesitate. So I poured my water into my pan, and we don't want my hair in there. And then I'll just move my stuff out of the way. And like I said, usually I use coffee filters. I'm out of coffee filters. So I get, you know, 5, 6 paper towels. I like these little paper towels. That water just splashed me right in the face. I get them wet, and like I said, use towels because they're messy. If you're doing a big water slide, it can be pretty messy because it's important that you keep it wet. It's extremely important that you keep it wet. And I've had questions where people say, well, why don't you just leave it in the water and do it that way instead of taking your paper towel and you have to keep wetting it? Well, there's a few reasons for that. If you leave your water slide paper in the water too long, it gets gummy. And it gets gummy and slimy, and it just doesn't work. You also start developing wrinkles. And so you want to keep your water slide smooth and clear, and it will get cloudy and wrinkly if you leave it in the water for too long. So we don't want to do that. Are you guys ready? Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna move you guys back down. I'm sorry I have to keep Blair Witching you guys. I'm moving the camera all crazy. But I want you guys to be up close and personal with this. So, thank you guys for the thumbs up. Okay, so I take my paper towels, like I said earlier when I showed you guys how to do it on the ceramic tiles. Just lay it on there and just kind of let it hang out for a minute while you're getting your water slide ready. Oh, I forgot the biggest part, you guys. With these storyboards, you can't do them with the other cups, but you can do them with these storyboards. You can take your image. So say you're printing a full page image, you've ordered a full page image, it's come in. You might even be able to request this to be done for you already. We'll see how that goes, but move you guys over here for just 1 second. Remember those 3 pieces of paper that you get with your storyboard cups? You can use these as templates. Isn't that cool? So use this as a template, lay it on your water slide. This one's all pretty no matter what area you get, so we're just gonna do it right in the middle. Lay it on your water slide, and then take your X-Acto knife and just cut it out. You don't have to do it this way. I've done it the other way as well. It works just fine. But if you do it this way, it's a little easier to control because you don't have all that excess water slide paper. This knife is not very sharp. And you can just get rid of all this excess, and you don't even have to worry about it when you put it on the tumbler. So it is still a little big. You'll still have to trim it down, and I'll show you guys, of course, I'll show you how to do that to make it very clean. So you'll have beautiful clean lines. It will look very, very professional. No worries there. Your customers will be very pleased with it. So I will definitely show you how to do that as well, because these are still a little big, but this at least gets rid of a lot of your excess, a whole lot of your excess. Sorry guys, I'm not looking at comments. Give me 1 second. Here. I almost forgot that very important little trick. So now you have the template that came with your storyboard. You know that this fits perfectly, and now you don't have all the extra waste around here, and you can have better control over your water slide paper. And again, a few more people jumped on, but you're still gonna have to trim this down, but I will definitely show you how to do that. Thank you, Martha. Thank you, Whitney. Isn't this gorgeous? I did a poll, and this is the image that everybody picked out. I hope you're feeling better. I'm so sorry you're sick. So here's this. Move you guys a little bit back over there. Let me get my towel back down. And like I said, you don't have to do it that way. It's just a little trick. Especially for people that are not real familiar with the water slide paper. You don't want to fight with all that excess paper, sorry. Okay, so now we've got our tumbler. Still got the paper towel around it. Still nice and wet. So now we're gonna sit this inside. I have a question. I know this is not the glitter you're doing a water slide, but can you? Yes. That's very important. Make sure you seal, even if you're using glitter, make sure you seal it, okay? I would even say epoxy it, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So you're gonna hear it sizzle. That's perfectly normal. It's gonna roll, and that's perfectly normal. And you'll see it kind of starts shrinking almost. And you'll see it starting to come apart. And what I do is I just take this, sorry, this light. I take this and I run my finger around all my edges just to make sure that they're all, none of them are stuck. Okay. it to the cup, ladies, gentlemen. Put that back in the water, and we're ready to roll. Now, if you use the template, you have to remember that the wider is your top because this tapers down pretty small. Also, make sure when you cut your image that you're cutting it the way that it is. So you don't want it to be upside down. I've done that before, and that's not fun to remove and have to redo it just because you weren't paying attention. So now you're just gonna kind of slide it. Take your paper towel, lay it over top of the bottom area right here because it kind of holds it. All right, actually, can you take this? Just lay it down so it just kind of acts as a whole, like it just puts some pressure on there so it doesn't slide everywhere, but it also keeps it pretty wet as well. And then, my husband just spilled water out of the pan twice. So keep your cup pretty wet because, like I said, you're gonna have to move this around because you've got to slide it up inside that lip right there a little bit. You don't have to slide it all the way up there, but you don't want that edge to show. So it's kind of important that you keep your cup wet. You're gonna want to keep it wet regardless, but it's just easier when you keep it pretty wet to move it around. And then what I do on these little storyboards like this, these are so much easier than doing them on a bigger cup. I just start letting it kind of fall over itself and moving it around like that. This is slick, like it's pretty slick. So I leave that there and I set my cup on it because if I was to set this on my towel, I don't want it to dry out and get stuck. So I leave that there and then I open this up. Put some of my paper towel there, but I'm also going to use the excess water and just keep getting this wet and sliding it. Now it's time to kind of go back through and working out your wrinkles and your bubbles and moving it to where you want it to be. This little lip on the top right here is the worst. I mean, it really, really is. So don't let it stress you out though. It's super easy to move this paper around. If you've sealed it with those 3 products that I had mentioned before, this is what saves that paper. Those 3 products save this paper so you can have this kind of control with it, because if you did not use those products, you would not be able to keep taking this off and moving it around. You still have to be very, very careful because it will, I mean, it'll tear. So you kind of position it the way you want it and then slide it up inside that lip right there. And I'll show you guys how to do the seam. Don't stress about the seam. I'm super, super OCD and I'm not exaggerating. My husband will tell you it's sometimes a little crazy, but I was really worried about these seams when I first started doing these. And I'll show you a couple of WaterSlide cups that I have here currently and what the seams look like after it dries. And I'm telling you what, they're so clean cut that you don't even really see them. And there's so many ways that you can take your name, if someone wants to customize it and put a saying, a name, or something like that, you can smack those right on top of that seam and you'll never even know it's there. So there's lots of ways to disguise your seam, so don't let that bring you down or discourage you from doing this. So if you guys have ever worked with fabric, this is a lot like fabric. I will say fabric's a little tougher because you don't have as much play. You would think you would, but you really don't. And you have to seal it so many times with Mod Podge, and I mean, there's just so much more to doing fabric this way. But that'll give you kind of an idea of what you're in for if you've worked with fabric and not WaterSlide. So there you guys go. That's it. So there's that seam I was talking about. Now, it's pretty important that you let this sit. You kind of let it rest for a few, is what I say. Just kind of babysit it for a minute. Make sure that no wrinkles or bubbles start popping up. But you got to let it start to dry. You don't want it to dry completely. You want it to still stay kind of damp. But you want it to dry where once you start cutting your seam, it's not going to tear. It's super important that you use a extra sharp knife. I always use a brand new blade when I do this. And, but it's just a lot easier to work with once this dries a little bit, and it just takes a few minutes. So take a paper towel. And just dab it. Now, if I didn't use, like I said a minute ago, if I did not use those products to seal this, I would not have a beautiful image like this, because I would have wrinkles, I would have bubbles, I would get frustrated because my this paper, this type of tattoo paper is too flimsy, it's too delicate. So I've tried to skip steps and do like one coat of each. That definitely does not work. I've tried to do one coat at the very end where I just seal the plasti dip. That didn't work because once this got wet and it stayed wet and I transferred it onto my tumbler, I started getting all these little wrinkle marks, and I had to keep rubbing it and rubbing it and rubbing it. And what's going to happen if you keep rubbing the same area over and over and over? Your sealer is going to start coming off. And that plasti dip is basically rubber in a can. If you was to sit and spray it in one spot, let that dry, you could peel it up and stretch it. It's just rubber in a can is all it is. You could take this and get that first coat off and peel the rubber right off this WaterSlide image. I've done that before. So, not after it's cured, but if you did it right away after it dried. But the longer it sits, it's going to cure, and it's not going to peel off that easy regardless. But just to explain what that plasti dip does and how it benefits this, gives you an idea. Okay, again, you're going to start seeing in a few minutes, you'll start seeing a couple of bubbles raise, whether they're air pockets or water pockets. They'll be in there somewhere eventually. And you'll just, like I said earlier, you'll take your X-Acto knife or a safety pin or something, and you'll just kind of pop them and rub them with the towel. Okay, I'm going to set this right here, and I'll raise you guys back up, and I'm going to show you guys a couple of the other cups with the seams so you can see what I'm talking about. How fun was that, you guys? All this prep, and then this took literally, what, 5 minutes? So the WaterSlide paper you can buy from Amazon. I have a supplier from Hayes Company, but you can definitely get it from Amazon. That's where I got it to begin with. Okay, let me show you some cups while that's drying. So this is a white WaterSlide on a 22-ounce fatty from Hog. These are my favorite cups to put full page WaterSlides on. Super easy, super awesome. I love this marble cup. If you can't tell, that's what these are, is all marbles. And I know I got blurry again, didn't I, you guys? I'll be real still. Am I better yet? There we go. So, Martha, you can, however, it depends on what you're using. So, there's like Design Space, you can upload images onto Design Space and do it that way. You can print off like photos of your family or whatever onto WaterSlides, or you can just order them from It Takes Two creators. She, any image that you throw at her, she's amazing. She either already has it or she can find it, make it, because you can spend hours and hours and hours tweaking images to put on WaterSlides. So anyways, here's the seam that I was talking about. Now say you had lines on both sides that you needed to match up, which would disguise your seam even better. I wasn't able to do it with this particular WaterSlide, but all you would do is match them up. You would move your WaterSlide this way or that way, and you'd have more on this side and more on this side, on one side or the other. And so you would match up your image in the middle, you would cut your seam in the middle, then you would cut your rims. And then that would disguise your seam as well if you had something like that. So on this cup, I love my marble cup. This cup is amazing. I was super stoked about how this turned out. So this is I call it a coloring book page. I had called Joanne and I had this crazy idea, and I'm like, what would happen if I come up with like a clear WaterSlide image, and then I did all different colors of glitter and epoxy on my cup, and then I put the clear WaterSlide on top. What do you think? She's like, that sounds great. Let me see what I can come up with. And she sent me a couple images to pick from. This is what I picked. And so underneath this, so the color that you're seeing right now is not WaterSlide, it's glitter and epoxy. So I glittered and epoxied my cup. I put another light coat of epoxy on top of that to make sure it was smooth and there wasn't any bumps or rough edges. Then I put my clear, thank you for the hearts, ladies. Then I put my clear WaterSlide on top of it. So wherever you see color is actually clear WaterSlide. Pretty cool, huh? I love this. It's super, super cute. I know as soon as I post this for sale, it's gonna go just like that. So I want to do more of these. This is pretty dry. So, oh, I was going to show you the seam to that one. Sorry, I got distracted by all the beautiness. So, I'll have to get a little closer on this one, but there's the seam on this WaterSlide. So, had I not pointed the seams out, you guys probably wouldn't have seen them. So, they're so easy. Thank you, Kim. They're so easy to cover up. You can put a name on there or a saying or even another image on top of that. I had a fish tumbler that I had ordered, that someone had ordered. It's actually this one right here. It kind of looked like this, but it was a full page WaterSlide. He's a big, huge fisherman. And I'm like, how am I going to hide that seam? Because he didn't want his name or he didn't want any words on it or anything. So I just cut out more fish that matched the ones on the WaterSlide, and I placed them randomly along that seam. I mean, there were still a couple of areas where the seam still poked through, but it disguised it and you could not see it because that seam is so stinking straight and clean that it just hides it. So I hope that helps you guys with that part of it. Martha, I know, super addicting because you can do so much with it. You can put these on huge tiles, on plates, on coffee cups, on anything. I mean, literally anything. You can put one on your, if you have one of those KitchenAid mixers, you can put one on those. Printable vinyl, yeah. I've used printable vinyl, Gabby. I love it. I use it a lot. For things like this, I don't use it. I use it the WaterSlide because you just have more options with WaterSlide. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's if Cricut doesn't come out with that before long, WaterSlide paper. So, but yeah, they also have the clicker. They have the Cricut sticker paper. I don't have the cup anymore, it's gone, but I have a cup that I did with the clear sticker paper. I can post it in the comments and show you what that looks like. It turned out really good. The only thing that you have to be careful with is it's not as vibrant as it would be if you used WaterSlide paper. Like, the colors just aren't as vibrant. So, but yeah, printable vinyl is fine. You're just going to have a different look to it than you would with the WaterSlide. WaterSlide, you have that professional, like, imprint image. Vinyl, you have exactly that, vinyl. So you can see that it's a layered image on top of something. As to the WaterSlide paper, you don't have that layered image. Sorry guys, this is almost dry, just a little bit more. Let me stick it under this little bitty fan right here and it'll be ready in about 2 seconds. And I'm going to grab my Cricut knife that I left in the kitchen. I have another one in here. I just wanted that one. Well, I don't know what I did with that. It's my favorite knife and I can't find it. It's fine. I don't need it. I can use this one. So before we do that, let's get stuff ready to cut our seams. So what you're going to do is you're going to need a new knife. Not a new knife, a new blade. If you know for a fact that your blade is very sharp, you don't have to use a new blade. I just buy, actually my husband just buys boxes of these. He buys cases of them and leaves them at the shop or his warehouse for his guys. And so I had him bring me one of these. And that's all it is just this. You can tape this to, did you find it? Okay, thank you. This is what I was talking about. This is my favorite knife. But you can tape this to a popsicle stick. Super easy. And I like it like that because you have more closeness, because if you used it in like a knife like this, you have to account for this thickness right here. So this you can just get really close. So that should be ready now, guys. I hope I'm not boring you guys. Are you guys still with me? Are you still excited about this? I'm in the department. Thanks, Lois. You're here. I mean, that's all that matters. You can watch it from the beginning. Michelle has. You've made one of these? Tell me about it. Was it amazing? Was it fun? Did you have any challenges? Tell me. Yeah, that was another I actually forgot about that, Gabby. What did I use that on? It was probably just a tumbler, and I used the printable vinyl, and I had problems with it lifting. It might have been the tumbler. I'll show you a picture, because I remember it turned out fine. I sold it. You couldn't tell. I just had to sand down the little corners. It was the tumbler. It was the pink one. I had to sand down the little corners that lifted, and I just put some more epoxy over that, and it disappeared, so it was okay, but yeah. Hi, Teresa. So I am making a glitter tumbler. This is a Storyboard tumbler that you can get from Irene through Hog, and This is kind of like a snow globe. So it has an acrylic that goes over the top of it, and you can put glitter and oil or whatever you want to use inside of it, and it's a tumbler, a snow globe, glitter globe. There's so many names for these. Super, super fun. In the event that was created for this live, Misty put a short video in the comments of it, of the music tumbler that I made, like this. It's super, super cute. It's already gone, or I would show you guys, but so, okay, this is pretty dry. It's still kind of damp. Remember, you don't want it to dry out completely, or it'll like kind of crinkle, and it literally just kind of it gets kind of crusty, and you don't want that. So here's the seam we're getting ready to work with. There's a couple of ways that you can do this. You can use your Cricut ruler, which I love this thing, and I was very surprised because when I bought it, I didn't realize that it was an 18-inch ruler. I thought it was just a regular standard ruler, and then when I got it home and I opened it, I was like, oh wow. So super cool, but it's got this rubbery backing on it to keep it from sliding. It's like a non-slip mat type thing. You can use this. You can line it up on your tumbler. Make sure it's straight. Take your X-Acto knife and just cut right down that line. But a lot of people don't have these. So marking my place so I can watch this tomorrow. Oh, thank you, Nadia. Thank you so much, sweetie. So you can, a lot of people don't have those types of rulers. So I was trying to think of some easy way for people to do this that does not have those. So you can take a fabric tape measure. You can tape it or just hold it to the top. Tape it or hold it on the inside of your cup. Make sure it's a straight line and just use this as your guide and cut right down the seam that way. So say you have an image that you're using and you need to keep some of that image, like what was one that like a truck. Say the truck was right on the edge and you needed to keep it. So I would make sure whatever image I need to keep on my water slide, make sure it's on the top layer. So this is folded over. So when I cut my image, my top is still gonna be there. Does that make sense? So then I would peel away my top, take out the piece that I just cut from the bottom, and then I would seam it, quote unquote, seam it back together. So just making sure I didn't miss any comments or questions, I mean. So this is kind of hard to show you guys. So I'm just going to do my best to show you as I'm doing it. And it always messes with me because on my phone you have your comments below, and I know you guys can't see those, but I can see them, and so I always think I have to be on top of the comments. So we're just going to line this up the best we can, and then we're going to cut it, okay? And like I said, make sure you have this as a new blade, or you can use one of these. Just hold it or put it on a popsicle stick. So this one, it doesn't really matter, so I'm just going to meet them both in the middle and cut from both sides. I'm gonna hold that on there. I'm just gonna make sure my ruler is straight and not cut on my ruler just like I did. But you're going to cut the image. And make sure you get down inside your little lip area. I know you guys can't see, I'm so sorry, but I'll show you in just 1 second. See if I can pull some of this up to show you. There we go. Okay, so after you cut it down the middle like I did, so this is kind of what you'll have. So you're gonna have this piece and you're gonna peel this piece away, and then you're gonna have to lift this piece up and backwards. Hold on guys, sorry, yeah, okay. lift this up, and then you're going to have your bottom piece that you're going to need to peel away. Okay, just like that. And then you're going to push it back together. And look how beautiful that is. That is a beautiful seam, and then you're going to push that back down inside that lip. Okay, and then you might get a couple bubbles. That's okay. Just push that back in there just like that. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. It's just such a pretty seam. There's no white showing whatsoever. There you go. Okay? So now you could put someone's name on there. You could put a real pretty, you know, quote, or a song verse, another picture, whatever you wanted to put on there. So now you have your inseam. What I do is I don't cut it all off. I just cut some of it off. And then I fold it over. I cut those little slits like we did the tape. And I fold it over. And then when I epoxy, I make sure that I epoxy that edge so it seals it. Okay? So let me do that really quick. I swear I put a new blade on that, but maybe not. Maybe I just got it out to do it. So I'm just cutting a couple little slits in here just so it'll fold over really nicely. Because again, you're not gonna see this bottom anyways. And I'll show you that in just 1 second. I have a bowl of water right there. That's all I did was just dip the bottom of this back in some water. And then, voila. It's done. Okay? Doesn't have to look pretty because you're not going to see it. See? And you're going to have your acrylic, but you don't see any white spots whatsoever. Okay? Oops, I just moved that. Darn it. So, with that being said, this is done. It's ready for epoxy. You guys are more than welcome to sit with me and watch me do the epoxy. Don't feel like you have to, because this is pretty much, we're done. And tomorrow we will pick this up at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we will finish sealing this, the acrylic, back inside your cup. I'll show you guys how to fill it up with the oils. I'll show you guys how to top it off with the oil using your breather hole, and then I'll show you how to seal this back on top here. So we will finish every step that I did not do tonight, tomorrow night. But like I said, you guys don't have to go anywhere. You can stick around with me, but the most important part that I really wanted to get through and show you guys tonight is completely done. And so thank you guys so much. I will stay on here and finish epoxying, but the ones that are gonna go, I do appreciate all your support and interest in this. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to ask. And please join our group, WaterSlides for You and Tutorials 2, as well as It Takes Two Creators, right here, and ask away. Ask any questions at all. And I will see the ones that are leaving right now tomorrow. Okay, thank you guys so much. And I'm gonna clean up my mess, and I will get my epoxy out. I'll show you guys how to seal this, because when you do your epoxy, you don't want to have a thick coat on this, because remember, you're going to put your acrylic back on there, and you're also going to put your glitter inside there and your oils, and so you want to have plenty of room for your glitter to shift and see that movement. So you don't want to put a very thick coat of epoxy on your cup at all. So with that being said, let me get this stuff out of the way. I don't know how I keep accumulating more stuff. I clean it all, put it all away, and then in 2 seconds it's all right back. Do you guys have that problem? I definitely do. You're so very welcome, Kimberly. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So this is my turner for the non-cup makers, the ones that are wanting to do this but haven't done it yet. My husband actually and I made this. It's just some PVC, a little microwave motor that you can get from Amazon right there, some PVC piping, some fittings, and some wood. And that's it. So I'm going to leave you right there, and I'll grab my football and put it in my cup, and we'll get this epoxy. This is the PVC arm that you see a lot of tumbler makers refer to. And this is what we use to hold our cup onto our turner while we epoxy. How did you connect the PVC to the motor? Actually, I have a piece right over here I can show you in just 1 second if you'd like to see it. Miss Gabby. Let me grab that for you. So I have a couple of, oh here, I'll just grab it. So when you get your motor, there's like a little itty bitty arm. So you take a 3/4 inch dowel and you drill the hole. This is the hard part, is getting that hole centered, and it has to be smaller than the little piece that's coming out from your motor, and because you have to push it on there and to fit it very, very, I mean, it has to fit extremely tight. And then you take your glue. See, this was the piece I did. So that's when I called for the husband. Then you have to take your piece of glue, whatever glue. We used the Gorilla Glue that foams up, and stuck it inside there. And I lifted the turner up. No, I didn't. I took the motor. We lifted the motor up and set it, you know, right side up, so that way the oil, not the oil, the glue could run down in any little crevices, maybe, possibly, that was around, but it fits so snug that it probably didn't get to the actual arm. And there's been a couple of times that I had to re-glue this. The last time I glued it, there's a lot of glue in there, and that was a while back, so I think the last time did it, but that's how we did that. And then this fits right. You have to sand this around to fit inside your PVC pipe. So I just took a piece of sandpaper, and it takes a while, and I just actually I laid the sandpaper on the table and I just started sanding and sanding and sanding until it finally fit into the PVC pipe, and then did the same thing. I turned the PVC pipe standing up, and then I dropped glue down inside of it, and it got around it. It looks complicated. It kind of, but the centered part is definitely the most complication, is getting it centered. My husband actually has a vise, and he held it in there and done it that way. But after I seen him do that, I thought, well, you could probably use like a clamp, like one of those clamps that hold wood together, and hold it that way, and it'd probably be easier. That's a good idea, Gabby. That's a very good idea, actually. Okay, so I use 5-foot bottles for my epoxy. So this is my part A. I leave my part A sitting up because if you turned it the other way, it would leak out because it's really, really thin. My part B, I leave down. No, that was vice versa, sorry. This is my A. The A is the thick one. And I have these cups. I don't even remember where I got these cups from, probably Amazon, and I just leave them like that, just in case. It never leaks, like there's nothing in there, but just in case. Because especially when the A gets down that far, it just takes forever when you have it lifted like this, and you have to wait for it to go down, and then you get more air bubbles, so I do that. I have another smaller FIFO bottle, and this has my Mod Podge in it, and I love this stuff. Love, 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 love. I don't use Mod Podge a whole bunch, but when I do, this is a genius idea. Okay. So I use the silicone cups most of the time. And I hate cleaning these things. They are a bear to get clean, but someone actually on one of my lives suggested using acetone, because I hate using anything alcohol related around epoxy because I get fish eyes. I always end up having problems with my epoxy when I use alcohol, and I could not figure out what I was doing wrong. And someone else had commented about having problems with their epoxy, and I seen someone say, you know, not to use alcohol, and so I stopped using alcohol on my cups, and I have not had any issues since then. And but I was using alcohol to clean out my silicone cups, and I started getting fish eyes again. So someone on one of my lives had suggested using acetone. So I take alcohol still because I feel like acetone gets the job done, but alcohol does it a little better when you're trying to clean this out. So I spray alcohol in here, I clean all the epoxy, the little pieces of epoxy out of it, and then I follow up with that by using acetone to clean the alcohol out, if that makes sense. So okay. I couldn't remember if I cleaned this with acetone after I wiped it out with alcohol, so I just done that really quick. So, sorry if you guys get a glare, but I have to move this light around for just a second so I can see how much epoxy I'm putting in here. I put my A in before my B, sometimes my B before my A. I don't have a preference. To me, it doesn't matter at all. I know some people say you're supposed to do it one way or the other, but I've done it both ways and I don't see a difference. So I just grab whatever's first. Too much B in there. Came out so fast. Okay. I'll probably have some epoxy left over, and if that happens, if you have any kind of molds, you can just use it for your molds. So, I'm gonna use a product that I cannot say on here. It's, I wanna make sure with Misty first before I say anything, but, So I'm not trying to hide anything from anyone. I just don't want to get in trouble and not be able to do lives for you guys anymore. If I'm allowed to say it on my next live tomorrow, I will definitely tell you guys what I used. Give me 1 second. I know that the person that I got this from is being researched, I guess, for lack of a better term, of being an approved vendor or whatever you want to call it on this group, but I don't know if that ever happened, so I just don't want to do anything to jeopardize anything. So give me 1 second. Okay, so I take these coffee stirrers. I really like the what type of bottles are those again? They're FIFO bottles, FIVO. So these are metal coffee stirrers that I bought from Amazon, and I have the silicone ones that I really like, that I use when I use like the little medicine cups, but I'm actually out of the little bitty medicine cups, and they're just a little those silicone stir sticks, they look like this. They're just a little too small to fit down in the cup and get, so I use these when I use my silicone cups. So yep. Sorry, I was just reading comments. Okay. Yeah, move my spotlight back over here so I can see. You guys can see a lot better than I can. It looks really bright on the video, but it's actually pretty dark in here. But that's okay. I'm like, where's all these glares coming from? Okay. So gloves. Make sure you have gloves when you're working with epoxy. If you don't know for sure that you have a an allergy to it. I do not have an allergy to it, but you can develop an allergy. Even though you're not allergic to something right now, you could be allergic to it later on down the road. So it's just safety first. Okay. Got my handy dandy notebook. You guys remember that cartoon? My 2 older boys loved that cartoon. And every time somebody says something that refers to handy dandy, I always follow it up with notebook. It was Blue's Clues. So I'm just checking to make sure I don't have any. Oh, look, there's an air bubble I wanted to show you guys. So you guys see it right there? So they just pop up, just random. There's some more down here. You see them? Now sometimes you'll get like, especially if you're using a clear water slide, you'll get like a bazillion of them. You don't have to pop every single one, because if you're using a clear water slide, it's going to disappear. Most of them will disappear. I always try to get the bigger ones. But on a white water slide, you definitely want to try to get them. And I just poke a hole, just puncture the top of it. And then I take a paper towel and just push it down. Sometimes it's just air in there. Sometimes there's liquid, which is water. And it looks like they're all right here where I had to lift it back up when I cut that seam. So I must not have put enough water right there, because these are all just air bubbles. I don't see any water coming out of them. But they'll push right back down. No worries. And you will notice your seams sometimes on a bigger cup. These smaller cups aren't as bad, but your water slide paper, as it dries, it'll start to almost like shrink. So you want to make sure that you're pushing your paper back together if it starts separating, like right up there. It's starting to separate. So just push it back together. It's not a big deal. Just be kind of careful that you're not pulling or pushing too hard because it could rip it somewhere else. But it's, like I said, as it starts drying, it kind of like shrinks, for lack of a better term. It just kind of starts going back into its original position. Not really losing anything, it just want to make sure I don't have any more bubbles popping up before I put my epoxy on. Okay. And then I have these little mats. They're not silicone, but they're like a really hard plastic. I got these from IKEA. You can get them in a 2-pack. I love these things. Just stick them under there in case I spill my epoxy, because, you know, I'm good for doing that. Okay. And again, make sure this is not very thick, because you have to leave room for your acrylic to slide into that lip area. Okay, and so when I was talking earlier about the product, I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say, so it's like a dust. It's like a glitter dust. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It looks like a bazillion little tiny diamonds are in there, and it only reflects like with the light. So it's not overkill. There's not like a ton of product in there. It's not like a ton of glitter, nothing like that. It's just when the light hits it, it's just like a million little crystal diamonds, and it's just gorgeous. And I love this product so much, and I unless it's like a guy cup or not a girly cup, I will not use it. But I don't want to use it. I don't want to not use it on any of my cups. I would rather use it on every single one of them, because it's just that gorgeous. So beautiful. Can you guys see the glitter or the shimmer at all? I'll give you guys a close-up in just a second. It's beautiful. So, so beautiful. So, around the top where the lip is, you're gonna want to get that in there. So I just kind of run my finger like this, and then I'll go back with my silicone brush and lay it down, or stick that in there and level that out so I can make sure my acrylic will fit in there. If for some reason the next day you come in and your epoxy is all dry and your acrylic won't fit in there, just take your X-Acto knife and just kind of scrape some of that epoxy out. Just be kind of careful that you don't dig into your image, but that's an easy fix, so don't stress about that too much. But you do want to try to get your epoxy in there pretty far, because you want to try to seal the top edge of your water slide, or even your glitter, or whatever you have on your cup. You want to make sure that that's sealed, so you need to get on the top of that. Gosh, you guys, this is so pretty. I haven't decided what glitter I'm going to put in here yet. I've got some anchor shapes I thought would be super cute. Maybe some pineapples. I don't know. This is just very, I feel like this is pretty elegant, so I don't know if I'm going to put the pineapples in there or not. But the anchor shapes might be pretty. Any ideas? So you want this to be, how should I say, you want a good coat on here. I mean, you don't want it paper thin. If you're used to doing, or if you've seen like the epoxy glitter method, you put like a super paper thin coat of epoxy before you start applying your glitters. You don't want it that thin, but because you want to protect your water slide, because it's going to be sitting in oil. But you don't want it too thick, because you want plenty of room to have that movement so your glitter can start moving around, and you can shake it up like a snow globe. So there's not like a perfect answer of how much. Ooh, how much. That wasn't a good thing. I'll have to keep an eye on that little area and make sure there's no bubbles that get underneath there, because I just pulled up that WaterSlide on an accident. So like I said, there's not an exact answer of how much epoxy to put on this layer, but you want to make sure that there's enough, because your WaterSlide's gonna be sitting. It's gonna be sitting in that oil for a long time. And there's not a lot of these cups out there. The cup that I did is a little over a month old, and I've not had any issues. However, I don't know what's gonna happen in 6 months from now. I can't guarantee that, and I make sure I tell my customers that as well. I'm not responsible after that leaves my hands, because there's just not enough of these cups that's been done to guarantee anything. But so far, so good. Okay, this looks pretty good. I got enough up there in the lip that I think I can show you how to smooth that out, and we're done. For who? Oh, step over now. I'll tell her to wait, and I'll get it. Just tell her to wait for a second, and I'll get it for her. My grandmother lives with me, and she has dementia, and sometimes my husband's not sure what to do, so he tries to help, but he's a guy. Starfish or seashells, that would be super cute. I don't have any of those. Joanne says pineapples. We can do pineapples. I just thought maybe it was a little too elegant for pineapples, but we can definitely do pineapples. I'm going to put just a tad around this bottom, a little bit more on the bottom. And then I'll probably wipe some off, because I don't want it to be super thick, because this is where your bottom piece will screw back on. So you want to make sure that this is super level right here. Okay, so take your silicone brush. You can use a toothpick, a popsicle stick, and I just take my brush and just let it do its thing. So it's pushing it up in there and laying it all down at the same time. And I'll keep an eye on this for a little while, for probably about half an hour, 45 minutes. I'll watch it and make sure that none of this will start gathering up into the cup itself. This cup is very tapered, so it's really hard to keep it level on the turner, because if you had it to where this was level with this, then it would run down into your lip. But if you had it the other way, then it's going to run down here onto the part that has your little adapter to screw the bottom on. So it's just kind of one of those things where you're gonna have to babysit it for a few. So once you start selling these, if that's what you're gonna do, they're really easy to make, you know, 4 or 5 of them at a time. I wouldn't see any issues with doing multiple at a time, because you can have them all ready and then just do the epoxy all together. And then by the time you get done with your last one, you can go back and check on your first one, and vice versa. Okay, And then I just go on my bottom and kind of push some epoxy up into the edge of my water slide. And sometimes if I have a couple like bigger crinkles down here, I will wait a little bit, a few hours, and come back and mix up a tiny bit of epoxy, and I'll go back and put a little bit back in that lip, and I'll put a little bit more around the edge of the bottom edge of my water slide, just for extra protection, just precaution. You could even use some UV resin if you had that, just because, like I said, you don't want this to have any areas where that epoxy can get inside, or not epoxy, oil can get inside your, between your epoxy and your image or your glitter or anything, because it'll eventually, that oil will start breaking it down. Okay guys, so the hard part is all done. Really, there isn't a hard part, it's just time consuming. So these cups are going to be time consuming no matter how you do them. Glitter method, water slide method, because there's so many little intricate steps that you have to take. So that looks pretty good. So I suggest if you do start selling these, to make sure you just do a few of them at a time, epoxy them all at the same time. Try to do multiple, so that way you can do the steps all together and they're done. You could have them all done like this and ready to go, so if somebody orders them, they can just tell you what they want to put on it. Make a few mock-up cups and go from there. But these are going to be hot sellers. I mean, they already are. It's just there's not a lot of them that's been done, because a lot of people don't know how to do them, or there's not enough research to do them, or what have you. So I'm not worried about this up here. I'll pull my tape off in about a half an hour, and then if some reason I have to come back and put more up in that lip, like I was talking about earlier, and some epoxy gets on the outside and the tape's not there anymore, it'll come right off tomorrow. You can just take your X-Acto knife and pop that little bit of epoxy off. I'm not worried about it. Don't stress about getting epoxy on your stainless steel around here. It'll come off, no problem. Okay, I'm gonna lift you guys back up because, oh, I'm gonna show you, let's see if I can get a close-up of how beautiful this is. How gorgeous is that? I mean, this is so stinking pretty. I absolutely love this. Yay! Lois, can't wait till her cups get there. Whoop whoop. Did you get them from Hog? From Irene? I feel like I haven't seen you guys in a while. Did you get some from Irene? They're, like I said, if you have not purchased these before, you can go on her website and just sign up for notifications, but because they're out of stock a lot. They're pretty hard to get your hands on too. So if you see them, and you can only get whatever your pocketbook allows. I know, Kim. I'll check with Misty. I think it was, the group was going to be on her approved list. I'm just not 100%. It wasn't on there before I went on my live and I looked. So I'll double check with her and see if she was able to put them on the approved list. And if so, I will definitely let you guys know. So I just don't want to get in trouble, because I want to be able to continue to do lives for you guys. And I appreciate Misty so much. So about 20 of you guys have stayed with me this whole time. How long has this live been going on? A long time. Does anybody know? It doesn't tell me. Joanne said, I just said pineapples because that's what you have. So I have these little itty bitty pineapples. I honestly don't know where I got these. I've had them for a while. I might know, actually, now that I think about it. So, but I'm sure you could probably find them. They're so cute. I mean, they're so tiny. They are so, so cute. So, we'll stick some pineapples in there tomorrow. About an hour and a half. That's not too bad. We covered a lot. We covered some beginner steps for you guys that's never done any kind of water slides before. I gave you guys some ideas on how to try those out. We covered how to apply them. I mean, we've done quite a bit, so an hour and a half is not too bad. So, I have a step-by-step tutorial on my YouTube channel, which is called Creative Girl. That's all that's on there, is just my step-by-step instructions on how to do a full water slide wrap on a 32-ounce cup. And then there's another one on there. I started saving my videos to that just very recently, so you'll have to search for me, like really search, but it's all Creative Girl, one word. And that, if you ever need to refer back to any videos, because I know sometimes it's hard to find videos in groups because there's just so many, and when I deleted all of mine in the other groups, I just decided to save them in there. So I know, Carrie, starfish would be perfect, but I don't have any starfish. I have a really good friend that lives close to me, and I'll see if she has any, but I don't know for sure. So, all right, you guys, have a great night. Thank you so much for your support. Reach out to me if you have any questions. If you want to give one of these water slides a shot, reach out to Joanne with It Takes Two Creators. She will hook you up, or myself, and I will make sure and get you in the right direction and get everything answered for you. Don't be intimidated, and just do it. Just go out there and do it. Oh, that would be a bottle, like little bottled shapes. That would be super cute. So I will see what she has, see if she has anything that I could get from her. So I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 o'clock. All right, you guys have, oh, the bottle name again. Storyboard. Is that what you're talking about? Oh, the FIFO bottles. F-I-V-O. And I think mine are, there's some different sizes that you can get. I think these are 16 ounces. Just make sure they have the yellow, because they come in different sizes right here. Like that one's white, they have like purple, they have, and that's just because of like the thickness and stuff of your whatever. I need to get a different one for this one so it won't leak, because this one's so much thinner than this one. But yeah, so the yellow one for the thick epoxy, and I'm not sure which one you would get for the thinner epoxy. It might say in the descriptions. But anyways, is there any other questions, ladies? FIFO, F-I-V, V as in Victor, O. Amazon. Yes, ma'am. Amazon, Amazon, Amazon. Okay, any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? I don't know if there's any gentlemen on here, but thank you guys so much for the likes and the hearts. You guys are amazing too. You guys stuck with me. So, one more time, I will see you guys tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's my time. And one more time, Joanne. You almost got it. F-I-V as in Victor, O. F-I-V-O. FIFO. And that's it. She'll leave that in the comments for you, Patricia, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night, y'all. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.